Welcome to the Smart Factory.
How has things been for you guys during the pandemic?
Yeah, look, I think we're just building on the conversation we had last time, really. A lot of the more general commercial print space is down. That's just a fact of life. People are not doing the same volume that they were from a business card brochure flyer perspective. We're seeing phenomenal growth in print on demand, and specifically the personalized items. And I think what they think came out with a stat this week saying that the markets are up basically if you're able to receive and process online orders or have an online presence, you're up around 29%. And we're seeing that across the board with most of our brands that are pushing orders through. We're obviously in the middle of summer, which things naturally decline. But I think we're going to be back in a position where many countries are re-entering some lockdown, and there's going to be people spending a lot of time at home preparing gifts for Christmas. So, bring it on. We can help.
I appreciate. Because what I like talking to you and Tim is always your openness, and of course also like your. You have an extreme good passion for your product, of course, which I like too. One of the things I would like to touch upon, I don't know what Tim is planning now, because we were supposed to have a customer coming and talking from the customer side. And that was, as far as I know, not possible. But so we could talk about that in a second anyway. But when I ask the questions, for example, about the Industry 4.0 and all these things that are the subject for this session, what kind of role does it play for you? Because you develop software. So one thing is that the society around us develops into these new kind of mega mantras. But are vendors driving these decisions and these ways to go, or is it demand from the markets, or where does this start?
I think it's a bit of everything, really. We see in many of the discussions that we've been having with print service providers especially over the last 5 years, they fall into a number of different camps. And the first that's pushing the envelope are the guys that really want to automate as much as possible, because
like the gentleman we just spoke to, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Because they've felt the pain of scaling their business and trying to do it with manual and non-automated systems, or having to build something themselves. So the organizations that we've just fortunately been able to hear from, they're at the very front. They're pulling us to say, can we consider how we could integrate with these devices? Can we consider how we can push data to robots, etc.? Can we figure out ways of tracking where things are with smart cameras across the factory? And these are all of the types of things that we're working on. But it's a bit like Formula One. There's trickle-down technology and trickle-down ideas and concepts that make their way into mainstream production for everyone else. And that's really where we see that most of our customers being able to take advantage of the platform, because they're able to, in many cases, go from next to no automation to having the platform being able to consider then, right, where's our low-hanging fruit? Where can we drive out 3 or 4 FTE savings very quickly? Where can we drive out some efficiencies? Where can we improve productivity by 20 to 30%? And we can work with them to identify some of those areas.
So one thing is, of course, the demand from the PSPs, because with the mass customization and with shorter print runs and faster delivery times and maybe even lights out productions, you end up in a situation that we have 2 Tim Websters, for example.
Your colleague Johnny Kirk's joining from Canada.
Ah, okay, that's so. You should just ask for more links. That's fine. That's awesome. So no. So one thing is the demand based on what we just talked about. But what about from the customer side? I mean, if you look at the brands and how they purchase print today, does that also lead to the necessity of having systems like Siteflow?
I think it does, and what importantly from the brand perspective, what they're looking for, and it's different stages of maturity. If this is a startup, a new app, a website getting off the ground, they're looking to get to the first 1,000 products being sold a month, and then 1,000 a day, and then 1,000 a week. So they're looking for a PSP that can help them grow and scale predominantly within a domestic market relatively quickly. But with the right investment and with the right ambition, then they also have a platform that can enable them to extend into other markets or be able to bolt on other products, potentially being manufactured at different print service providers. So Simon made a point earlier in the call. It's actually about an ethos. And that's an ethos not just in the in the production and even the shipping. It's right through to the sales team, because the sales team have to be thinking about what's the value of this new type of customer that I can potentially sell our product to. How can I leverage the infrastructure, the scale that we can bring from this platform? But importantly, how can we demonstrate to them that we're going to be in this for the long term, helping this new organization scale its business, both domestically and in other markets, through a single platform?
And that is for sure something that more and more brand owners are demanding. This, I would say, almost regardless of size. I think that most people that today operate, even startups, they think of themselves as a part of a global community, right? So just the fact that you can order your things with your, let's say you order with your regular PSP, but you can get it printed and delivered anywhere in the world, that is an opportunity for the printers that decides to be part of this journey, right?
Yeah, and also Simon also made a good point around speed of integration. So if you're a traditional print service provider, and let's say one of the big brands comes to you that already has a presence selling lots of products around the world, and they present you with an API documentation pack, which is essentially, if we want to send orders to you, this is how you need to integrate. Then that's a sizable amount of work that needs to be done. There's risk. How much volume are they actually going to be guaranteed? Don't know. If we can persuade the brand, or the brand is already on our platform and they're connected with us, then 99 times out of 100, there's no work for the PSP to do to get connected to that brand, because that integration's already been done.
Tim, you obviously are one of the people that people meet in case they're interested in getting to know more about this. When you talk to a potential customer of Siteflow, what is a typical way of getting into an understanding of it? Because I mean, when I saw, for example, Chris, when I saw your presentation at the last Learn with Us, you made a video where you would like a little role play with your American colleagues about how you see different processes and how things are going. And I have shared the link here in the chat so people can watch it. I think they should. But one thing is that I think that when you look at so many presentations of software today, everything looks so seamless and so easy. And I think that for some kind of software, it's not as easy as it looks. And for some software, it is very easy to take that approach to it. So Tim, what is the main driver for people that are interested? I mean, there's obviously the three gentlemen we just spoke to are three very different companies, right? So I think that maybe they have things in common, but they also have a lot of things in difference, right?
Yeah, it's a good question. And the interesting thing about Siteflow, so many PSPs that we talk to have got the same problems that that Prime have got, and that Ollie's got, or Ollie had, and that ESP had, and there's going to be I could live to 150 and talk to every PSP in the world, and we'd still find PSPs that have got the same problems. And they're no different from day 1 to day 2 to day 3. One of the great things that Siteflow has is we often, well, every day we talk to PSPs that have built their own workflow tools, and it's very entrenched into their business, but they want to expand their range of products, or they want to receive work from other brands that are routing work, as those 600 brands that are routing work into our network. So the Siteflow portfolio has evolved to enable some of those PSPs with existing workflow tools to be able to plug in with a Siteflow Lite solution. But part of my role as well is to reaching out to brands, and by brands, yes, I mean like the Coca-Colas of the world and the big footsie businesses, but also printers, print management companies, print aggregators that want to tap in and have, as Chris said, have that single connection and exposure, and exposure to all of those PSPs. So when we're talking to PSPs, yes, we're talking about Siteflow as a production workflow tool and the benefits that it will deliver them, and identifying some of the problems that they've got. They might have outgrown their own homegrown system, or they don't have the ability to scale up. So one of the points that Simon said in the last, one of the questions he asked John was, were you expecting those levels of demand? Of course, Siteflow is elastic. And many of these
the numbers he gave was like fantastic.
90 million orders in the last financial year, I think he said. So a tremendous amount. But many of these PSPs that we're talking to, yes, we're talking to them about Siteflow as a production automation tool. But then we start saying, well, you can expand your products. You'll get exposure to brands that are already connecting and routing work. So it becomes a much easier discussion, a much easier proposition, because those PSPs see value from all sides. We're going to bring them opportunities. We're engaging with brands that want to route work. As Chris said, there's brands now that only want to work with Siteflow PSPs and come to us to say, have you got any PSPs in these areas of the world? Because it's just so much easier for us to connect. We're already connected. We can turn on a new PSP in a new country, 5, 10, 15 minutes. So it's a relatively, I shouldn't be saying this, it's a relatively easy pitch to those PSPs once they embrace the value proposition of Siteflow.
Would you say that, because one of the things that I'm, when we talk about the buying patterns of PSPs, at least in the past, maybe that has changed over the years, but if you look at the, they took the brochure and looked at how nice was it, and when I take a brochure like this, I always look at the spine, how good is it, and how does the varnish look, all these kind of things, right? And one of the things I am a little bit curious about is also that with the Industry 4.0 and all these fantastic opportunities that you see on the software side, on the workflow side, on the automation side, does that also open up for new types of products, or are we just cannibalizing the existing market and products into more condensed PSP types of organizations?
I don't think there's any limit to the product type or classification or how we might see these moving forward. I mean, it won't come as a surprise to you now, but we're doing 3D products on the platform as well.
Oh, it came as a surprise to me. Sorry.
So we've also then got some customers that are we've got 3D that involves some 2D packaging that is getting personalized, etc. So and then also they've got equipment that is non-HP where things are getting manufactured. We've got pick and pack items that are sitting in inventory, etc. And it's all going through the system. So I don't think there's no limit. I guess the limit is our imagination. But what we're trying to do is knock down the technical boundaries.
But I think I have to rephrase my question because I didn't ask it good enough then. Because I mean, if you look at, for example, when we spoke to John, who got like 92 million orders, right? That's a staggering number, and of course you can't see specifically from that number whether it's profitable or it's like a one-off orders or it's what kind of volume it is. So that is not the question here. My question is more that with this new technology, one thing is that you're capable of doing mass customization, of course, right? But another question is with the Siteflow enable printing companies, as you just mentioned before, Tim. Is this a consolidation phase in the industry where people that offer this technology takes away job from PSPs who are not into that flow, or is it something where we actually can expand the market because we're offering services that we were not capable of before? Do you get my question now?
Yeah, I think there's certainly opportunity for expansion of the market through new products, especially with new technology, things like 3D especially. But I think we have to accept the fact that there's going to be some consolidation across the industry. That's a combination of everything that's taken place with COVID, but also a number of organizations that just haven't evolved and aren't thinking about how they're going to become a smart company. To become a smart factory, the first step is to think about how you're going to be smart, and that's taking the first steps towards automation. And what we've seen is that those companies that are embracing our technologies are winning more business. Now, I think that's coupled with the fact that also buying behaviors are changing dramatically. We now know what we want to buy before we're buying it. We're doing all the research online about products that we're interested in, and more of us are buying exclusively via an internet connection rather than talking to an account manager. And the millennials of today, that's a direction of travel that's only going one way. So I would expect the number of order takers, the number of account managers, relationship managers to vastly reduce over coming years. And we're going to see more and more automation. And that was why I made the point earlier about it's not just about equipping your production staff, you have to equip your sales staff, because they have to know how to sell, who to sell to, and what to sell differently.
Fantastic.
So I was watching Douglas Gibson's session this morning with Infigo software, and as you're aware, there's a deep integration between Infigo and Siteflow, and we can help the PSPs grow in their products. So the statistic we shared earlier, there's been an increase of 29% on what they think statistic last week of new storefronts. And if those PSPs or those storefronts are selling a wider range of stuff, people are going to, and it's all routed through either an Infigo web to print or many of them, and we're connected to multiple web to prints. If they're all routing into Brand Center and got exposure to Siteflow, we're not trying to take away work from PSPs. We're trying to encourage the more progressive, the smarter printers to sell more stuff and to make it very simple for them to be able to add more products into and offer their clients more than they're producing themselves, which the three guys on the last call are champions of.
Living evidence. Yeah. Well, wonderful conversation. I think anything you want to take over, Tim, or what is your plan right now?
I know it appears that I've joined the session again. That should be one of my colleagues, or one of our colleagues, Kirk, who's joined. And we were planning.
Are you there, Kirk?
Yes, good morning, good afternoon. How are you?
Oh, it's an American, right?
No, it's a Canadian.
Oh, that's. I don't think we have any Americans right now, so let me share a bad joke with you. You know the difference between Americans and Canadians?
Please enlighten me.
The Canadians are the nice ones. Sorry.
Well, I got my red and white on for today.
Okay, that's great.
Many Americans will watch this after you've just.
Oh, shit, we have to do a hard edit on this one, I think. So no, it was a joke. I have so many good American friends, so this was totally 100% a joke. So,
we'll put that one on the cutting floor there. There you go. Well, it's nice to meet you.
So,
thank you for the time today.
Yeah, you're welcome. And what do you work with?
Oh, sorry, I'm on the Siteflow team. Actually, I work with Tim and Chris here for the on the.
I know, but I wanted to so you could introduce yourself, because for me there's like 3 Tims right now, and you see awful different.
Oh.
Right?
Well, my name is Kirk Lewis. I live in Toronto, Canada, and I'm the sales executive for the Americas for our solutions group. And I have the pleasure to work with Chris and Tim all day on this fun, exciting stuff that you guys have been talking about for the last few hours here. So really happy to be here and appreciate the time.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. So should I just turn off the camera and the microphone, Tim, and then you take it from here? And then
what we're planning to do is Kirk and I to take over. Chris is going to leave at this point, and as I mentioned earlier on the last call, we're just going to run you through a very basic overview of the Infigo storefront and ordering a product, and then that routing into Brand Center, and then that going straight into Siteflow. So, Chris.
Okay. I will leave it up to you. Thank you, and I will be back when you're finished with the presentation, so we can have some digging questions, right?
Thanks very much, everyone.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Thank you. Take care. Cheers. You are on, guys, so you can just continue.
Kirk, there'll be a way to share your screen.
Yeah, do you want to start with the presentation, Tim, or do you want me to just jump into the demo?
Dive straight in.
Sure.
I think the share screen is on the top of next to the video. And
it is on in the top of the screen there. You just click on it, then you select either a browser tab or yes. Great.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
All right, excellent. Well, what you should be seeing on my screen is an example of a web-to-print platform. And one of the things that we've just been talking about over the last little while is about this automation, this theme of automation, theme of trying to remove some of these manual touches, grow your business, expand your portfolios, but do that in a way that's obviously profitable and meaningful, obviously, to the company and the brands that you support. One of the many partners that we have on our platform that are deeply integrated into the Siteflow platform is Infigo. And here you're looking at a sample web-to-print system with the ability for a user to log in and order something as simple as a brochure. But of course, not like all customers want some sort of personalization these days or some sort of way to edit or make slight changes. So you might have a base template that looks something like this. You'll have some sort of custom pricing maybe scheduled for them, and you'll have the ability to go through in an automated way to be able to order this product. Well, one of the things from automation, obviously, it starts with the order taking process first. So if I want to go ahead and order a specific quantity of this brochure, and I might want to then at the same time maybe edit the contents or maybe personalize this to a user or to a group or to a set of people. Those are the things that some of the modern web-to-print platforms obviously allow for today, and one of the examples that we're going to run through. And while this goes ahead and starts to render my initial brochure here, any, of course, deep questions or deep dives you may have already gotten from Douglas Gibson's session earlier today, but of course, they'd be more than happy to run through some more specific examples with you today as well. So as you can see right now, we've got our brochure up here, and I can simply personalize this with whatever type of content I might want to, and it would simply redraw on the screen. But the next step in kind of our evolution of automation is the one of proofing. So a lot of customers that are listening to this on the phone maybe are still into the hard proofing cycle of certain things, or be able to make some sort of content proofs or color proofs. What we're also trying to move away from, or move to actually, is more of an e-proofing type situation. So while you are going to automate the order processing, it's also just as important to try and automate as much as you can some of these proofing mechanisms as well. So you can have these e-proofs that are able to look at the content, see what it's going to look like before they print. So your customer now doesn't need to do things like press checks or actually visually see this proof. You can actually look at it online with some advanced tools like the platform that Catfish have from Infigo, and be able to verify that what they're going to order is exactly what's going to show up at the door. So that's another bit of the automation process that can happen upstream. And like I said, not just Infigo, all of our web-to-print partners for the most part have some type of advanced e-proofing ability. and or something you can integrate directly into your own platform should you be building one yourself. Now what we're coming into next is a standard sort of checkout procedure that anybody that's bought sort of anything online over the last little while would have been familiar with. Here we can just simply order our brochures, check out any options, any sort of pricing things that we might want to look at, change the shipping methods, change my address to where it might want to be. I'm going to go to the UK here. And as you can see, your standard shipping methods. The nice thing here is that all of these options that we're passing through as well is content that obviously the Infigo platform is capturing, but it's also passing it directly onto the Siteflow platform for further automation of production. Costing models, shipping methods, SLAs, the content itself. And here we have our order has automatically been successfully processed. What I'm going to do right now, just really quickly in the background, is I'm going to reorder that brochure, because one of the automated things we also want to talk about from a brand standpoint is how our tool and brand center can also help automate some of these submission of these brochures to various destinations or print service provider locations globally. So the business rule that I have set up in Brand Center that we're going to take a look at in a second actually routes this based upon geographical location. So that first order I processed was headed over to the UK, over to Tim's house. And this next one I'm going to send down to the US to some of our friends down in Alpharetta. And we'll be able to see the tools in Brand Center and in Siteflow sort of manage that. So if I say this one, I'm going to put Tim's name on this one. I can do a preview, but I've already seen that content, so it looks good. I'll just add that to my basket. And go through that same process again, but simply just change my address to one of the US, and we'll see some of that further automation take over. What's key here, obviously, is the self-serve tools, the layouts, the ability to be able to have a pleasing experience for your customers. These are all of the benefits, obviously, of a nice scalable platform like Infigo to be able to do these types of things. Sending that one over to Alpharetta, we'll pick the same shipping address, shipping methods. That's going to confirm it down to the US. I'll put in my payment information and my PO number. And we'll go ahead and confirm that that's going to be submitted into the platform. And once that selects, we'll just head over to Brand Center and we'll be on our way. All right, so here's our confirmation. Obviously, email confirmations and things of that nature are going to be automatically sent out of the Infigo platform. And conversely, the status of all of these orders back from Siteflow from a production standpoint, from a shipping standpoint, that's also going to come back into the Infigo platform. So users now have that two-way communication, that constant status of where things are, when they've been shipped, and of course, any tracking information that goes along with that. So the nice thing about the integration between Infigo and Siteflow is that it's not just a one-way street. It actually is a two-way street that works quite well. And as you can see, now I'm over in Brand Center. So the story here is that if I'm a brand and that was my web to print portal and I'm receiving orders from various customers logging in, here's where I can log into my Brand Center portal and manage those orders across my print network of print service providers globally. I have all of my print service providers listed here on the side, and I'm measuring their service level agreements and how they're doing to producing these orders. I can quickly look at each one of these and how they're performing. And then I can also look at the individual orders themselves and look at them come in and how they're routing to the appropriate print service provider based upon that geographical location. So if I'm a brand logging in, here's my cockpit, here's my view, and this is a live status into the production of the Siteflow instance running at that print service provider. What's really cool here is that as I log in, I have a very similar view to what that print service provider does inside of Siteflow. But my capabilities or my ability to edit things is reduced a little bit just to what my brand would be concerned about. So here I can look at the content itself. I have a thumbnail of what that image is. I have things like the separation values, any special colors, trim box, bleed box, so on and so forth. I've got the file size. I've got a thumbnail of what that looks like, and some basic information about shipping details, contents, and any sort of attributes around that order. I'm looking at the other order. You're going to see a very similar type of view. I've got that order being processed right now. It's currently being fetched, that artwork, and being sent over to the Siteflow instance for further production. Here, I can also, as a brand, set up my routing rules. And this is one of the things that we just set up for this order. And here, what we're looking at right now is how in this order rule called GCP routing. And the rule is quite simple. We had our Infigo platform, our Infigo instance of that website, submit orders to this specific endpoint. And then it simply just followed these rules based upon that order data coming into the platform. So we're automatically looking at that shipping detail. In this particular case, it's a very simple rule. It says if the rule and the address is going to be shipping to the US, you're going to send it over to this print service provider running Siteflow. And if it's not, if it's anything else, we're going to send it down to this print service provider running Siteflow. We could have routed this based upon a SKU, a state, or a province, or a SKU code. And it could be nested rules inside of here too, so you can have quite a wide variety of options to route things globally as you need to. But for this demonstration, we're just keeping it relatively simple. Of course, you can invite various users of your account and your brand inside of here. And once you do, you have some flexibility of things like ordering reprints, canceling an order, editing the shipment information live and right to the last minute before something happens in Siteflow. Any changes inside of here happen directly in that production environment. So you're saving yourself a phone call, you're saving yourself an email, and that once again helps the automation of that communication between the brand and the print service provider happen seamlessly on that common platform and through a common language, obviously through Siteflow. Now let's skip over to the Siteflow instance we actually sent these orders to. Here you're looking at right here is an example of what Siteflow looks like to the end user. Here's a list of all of my orders coming into the platform, and here's that order I just submitted up from Infigo. So you'll notice it's in the same state, it's in a data-ready state, it's that same thumbnail, it's that same information that I'm getting from an automatic bleed box, trim box, and separation values. And it's very, very similar type information, but we're exposing a little more to the print service provider. Here's the production details that we're going to be running through. And why this is important is here's where the further automation kicks off too. So as this order is being sent into that platform and we're fetching this asset, we're determining automatic things like how we're going to do any file imposition or build any signatures. We're going to barcode the individual item itself for track and traceability throughout the factory floor. We're going to capture the shipping information, the ship due date, and start building a schedule based upon service level agreement. We're going to start grouping and batching these orders based upon those attributes into like things. So the three gentlemen we spoke to earlier regarding their success and their growth patterns inside of using the platform, these are things that they're counting on every day to drive this automation and drive that growth. As these orders are coming into Siteflow, they're happening 24/7, and you simply can't man that manually, obviously, all day, every day. So we set up these business rules to deal with those intricate details, automate that as much as possible, and group these like things together. So here, this bucket is being filled up with all the likenesses of those orders coming through and treating those individual personalized brochures, grouping them together and producing a big long run of them that you can then produce efficiently and effectively on a digital press with high amount of automation. So it all basically right now, everything you've seen so far, the print service provider hasn't touched anything. Those orders have automatically come in from a platform that they've skinned and branded themselves. We've automatically done any pre-flighting, automatically done track and traceability, barcoding, grouped those like things together, built a schedule based upon service level agreement, and then simply grouped and managed and imposed those assets together for delivery down to the press. The nice thing here is that once that order comes in and it's all simply imposed, ready to go, Siteflow furthers that automation and delivers it right to a scheduled work to event that my digital press operator now has, and it's managed based upon what they need to do, when they need to do it, and how they need to do it with all of those details. So until this point, there has been zero touch. It's all been barcoded, job sheeted, tracked and traced. And here's a scheduled list of what batches I need to work on and the order I need to work them on based upon when they're due out the door. So really fantastic, highly automated workflows that allows you to drive that efficient growth through your factory in obviously a positive manner. Now, we're simply moving the rest of this production in a very simple and easy way. As these orders are being produced and as they're being submitted to devices, the operator has the ability in a quick and simple interface to submit these orders down to a device in whatever type of production device they might want to do, obviously allowing for things like late stage imposition should that need to change. And simply by a click of a mouse button or a scan of a barcode, that job is automatically sent down to my device for production, and away I go. As these are completed, I'm scanning barcodes, and it's simply instructing the operator where this batch needs to head to next and down its journey throughout the factory floor, heading over to the lamination event in this particular case. Now, this is all well and good, but what this also has to tell us is the other work that maybe my operator doesn't see right now. So it says, hey, I've got these 3 batches that are due today, but maybe there's some other work coming in from the other side of the factory or from other events. And here are some key leading indicators that are essential for managing a production in an automated way. I've got how many jobs I've completed today, how many are currently due for the rest of the day, how many might be incoming from other events, as well as how many hours I've completed and how many hours I've left to do. So now as an operator or as a team lead on this event, I know how much work I have to complete, how much is left to be completed, and how much is coming in from other events that are unknown at the moment. And simply as I'm running through production, I'm faced with a very similar look and feel through all my different workflow events with all of my batches listed here of what I need to do in the order I need to do them. Once again, with those key leading indicators, all those unique attributes of how I might produce this, and simply following a stepped process that is repeatable and easy to manage to help minimize any sort of risks. So once again, I'm laminating this batch. I'm going to scan a barcode once I've completed it. I've got the details of what to laminate, the trim size, all those unique production details I count on. And when this job is due, I simply complete that batch and it moves on to the next workflow event. So on and on and on this kind of moves. And as those attributes inside of that batch are recognized and created, so it determines what event those orders need or those batches need to flow through. So for example, if you have something as advanced as I offer a product that is laminated versus not laminated, or if it's a certain quantity, I run it on this device versus that device, where these batches head to and move to can follow a logical work plan that helps further automate your shop floor and takes those intricate details into account when building that work plan and then building that schedule. Now, this is all well and good here on the scheduling bit. It tells me where it's going, but sometimes what you need to also look at is a capacity planning map of how my factory is doing. How am I going to be able to know if I have enough capacity to plan and manage and move this throughout my entire factory? And here's what Siteflow does for you in an automatic way. Every time one of those batches are created, we're redrawing this dynamic schedule for you. We're taking into account all of your devices that you have on your factory floor, whether they're HP branded or not. And then we're also mapping that to the appropriate availability of time on a press or on a cutter or on a folder, what have you, of how this is going to get done and when it needs to get done. And now I'm managing this at the aggregate level, but across devices' time and capabilities. We're taking into account the speeds or the feeds or how many widgets this device does. And then we're slotting that into an actual time frame on my calendar here. And as this evolves, as time progresses or as batches are moved, we're constantly updating this and color coding this for the appropriate time. So as you can see here in this particular batch, I'm scheduled against the 6900 from Indigo. And it lets me know how much time I have to do this and what time and date I need to start this on. And once again, further automated, always up to date, and always available anywhere you are on a tablet, a phone, an internet connected device. Furthering on the automation is we have to work with anomalies sometimes. Sometimes things go down. Sometimes things are scheduled for maintenance. Well, we need to be able to turn these devices off or on in my schedule. And by a simple click of a button, I can disable this device. Siteflow will automatically try to move these batches to the next available device that can run this based upon production. And then obviously not schedule any new batches against that device. Once that device comes back online, I can simply turn it back on and now new batches will come up. So really nice, easy way to manage scheduling, all API driven in the background should you want to interact with it as well, and allows you to look at hours, days, weeks, times, so on and so forth, all barcode driven. So nice, fantastic schedule there. It really allows you to have a nice picture view of your entire factory floor at any given time. Now, where we left off here, we were scanning these batches through production. And once those batches are all complete and done their last event, they're going to head over to shipping. And that's the last place that we're going to need to touch these orders before we ship them out the door. And we want to be able to offer some automation there as well. So when we look at this here in the shipping area, everything has been barcoded for track and traceability at the item level, the component level, and at the batch level. And what that means for us in shipping is that I really only have a really easy barcode scan to be able to let me know where this item or order lives, what other things might be on that order that are related to that item, and what boxes to pack this in. And by scanning that barcode on that package, it's going to pop up and say, hey, there's your order itself that should be sitting in front of you. Here's the weight. Here's the expected cost for customs declaration. Here's how many you have out of how many you should have. Here's the packaging you should pack that in. Here's the shipping method that you need to send this on. And once we're scanning these barcodes in and we have number of items on this order, it's letting us know to put this in bin number 11 while we're reconciling the rest of those items together. So once again, a very clear, easy picture. We're automating the details of capture here, and then we're going to automate the label creation once I've scanned all of these items in I'm going to make that API call to FedEx or to UPS or DHL, what have you, grab that tracking number, print off the right amount of labels for the right amount of boxes, and then send that post back upstream to Infigo, where that's then going to send a branded message back to the user based upon this order number that says, hey, your order number 6997 is complete. Here's your tracking number, and away you go. So hopefully that's given you a quick flyby and a sample of some of the automated tools that we have inside of Siteflow and how we're able to interact with multiple upstream and downstream systems, automate that production through your entire factory floor, working with any device, whether it's HP branded or not, and any product, being completely product agnostic as well, as we were talking about earlier, to be able to help automate production of that. With that, I'm going to throw it back over to Tim and ask if there's any other questions.
No, thanks, Kirk, for doing that. As slick as ever.
I'm just amazed. I'm blown away.
You've seen it before.
Yeah, but it's like okay. Let me ask you. Let's see how honest guys you are.
Okay.
Right? What is the competition here?
So there's a number of things out there. You know, from an end-to-end system of what we're doing, there's you know, not that many, but there's competition out there that people are building their own systems or have other systems that might do similar things. I mean, let's be honest. There's pre-press systems out there today. There's systems that do imposition out there today. There's systems that do barcoding. But customers, as they've grown up, you know, some of these large customers, maybe they're building their own or they're doing their own integrations, and it's all going to be a local type of environment. And there's nothing, you know, here or there or wrong with that, because, you know, maybe that's what they had to do to get to where they are. But
that was
also, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that was also what Don said before, that sometimes you need to build something before you get to an understanding of that. You need something that is more genuine and generic, right? But I was blown away, because I mean, the way that I worked for Xerox 15 years ago, something like that.
Sure,
and at that time, they spoke about these. I can't remember the name of it, but it was like Xerox Network, where people were also, but there was no internet. There was no really. Sure. So the kind of ideas of exchanging jobs between people that are supporting each other businesses is, I mean, it's in a time where everybody's sharing more, and apparently also now able to work with this is a tremendous business opportunity. When I say I'm blown away, it's more because I think that I'm not a programmer, but I imagine that this is really hardcore work under the hood, right? And it seems so seamless to work with. I understand why people are so intrigued by the system.
Yeah,
and I'm not paid by Tim to say this, by the
way. No, there's definitely a lot going on under the hood. If you can imagine the structure of all the things that would happen in production, let alone all the options and things that happen when you order something, and all the variants that go around with that, and keeping that all straight, if you will, and in control, and then trying to automate all of that. So really, you've got to look at, you know, there's quite a wealth of information sitting in the background of data that we're moving around. But as you can imagine, you know, you need to have flexibility, you need to have options, and you need to have that to be able to obviously automate that and make that a success. So when we talk about competition, it's really, you know, building versus buying, right? And if someone's going to build a system like that, how flexible is that, and how much infrastructure and time and IT resource do you have to continue on that? Or is it something else?
I was about to ask you, I was just about to say that maybe you would just be my guest. Bring it on.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so and we talk to customers all the time about that. You know, they built some things and it's taken them as far as they can go. And now it's time to say, you know what, I'm turning into an IT company, or I've got 15 developers, or, you know, whatever it might be. And not that I need to, you know, remove people, I can put that on different projects. But the beauty thing about our platform, and it's cloud-based, and, you know, is that everything that you're seeing is wrapped around an API under the hood. So if you want to take that as that underpinning of an infrastructure, and then use your secret sauce to do whatever, extend that from an API standpoint, we give it to you all for free. It's all there as part of that platform to be able to use. So it's quite extensible and flexible as well.
Yeah, I said tomorrow, but on Thursday, we actually have Diego Diaz, who used to work with the Bernard Group in Chanhas, now working with ProPrint in Dallas. And he's always been one of my favorite go-to workflow kind of automation guys, because he's using the APIs extensively, build systems that actually give him the ability to have operator-free control as well, right? Because that is, when you show a beautiful and nice interface, that is one thing, but you can actually automate with APIs. You can automate even further, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It needs to be different things for different people, and you need to have that extensible underpinning, if you will, to be able to do that, right? Whatever environment you're going. Chris talked about earlier, we're getting to the 3D market. I mean, their needs and their use cases are different than someone doing business cards in the 2D market. Sometimes that's that same customer, but sometimes they have very different needs. So you need to be able to provide that, not just in a friendly UI, but also the strength underneath of that that's scalable, right?
We have a guy, Henrik. Henrik is asking a question about his because I was asking about if competition. He's asking, what about Hyper's new Connect system? He might be referring to Siteflow.
Tim,
I don't know enough about it to be able to make a contrast or comparison.
I can maybe clarify a little bit, because I think that with Siteflow and also Connect, that is Connect is obviously also a system that enables you to connect the dots from an electronic perspective, of course, and you have things. But I think that, from my knowledge, it seems that Connect is more like, on domain kind of solution. I think that what really brings the Siteflow to a different ball game is basically you have the opportunity for brand owners to order across the globe using a unified platform. That is at least one of the things I believe. And with the Siteflow, I think it's more about connecting equipment and systems in order to be able to work together. But I will look into it, and we will definitely. I know that Matthias Prince from Siteflow Crispy Mountain, he took on my challenge on LinkedIn, so he will write an article about Siteflow and Smart Factory on INKISH News during one of the nearby days. So I think there will be more about it there.
Oh, great. Looking forward to reading that as well.
Tim, I'm getting back to, because you have the impossible role as being the salesperson. I know that you're way more, but I just have to put the responsibility on somebody's shoulders, and this time it will be yours again. So one of the things I often ask, for example, the guys from both InFocus and from Chili Publish, is that the more complex software becomes, and the more it's capable of doing, even though that you have really nice UIs, how difficult is it to sell such complex systems? Because obviously it can do a lot of things. So the elevator pitches may be quite high building, right?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think we kind of covered that a little bit in the last session. It's all about it's all about identifying the right PSP, talking to them about the problems that they've had or they've got and where they want to get to. And I think what makes it very unique is the full end-to-end system, as Kirk has just demonstrated, of what Siteflow does. But on top of that, the brands that we're engaged with and that network of PSPs enabling each other to expand. And one of the questions, or one of the points we raised earlier when Chris was on the call, it's about helping the industry grow and giving them the tools and the infrastructure and the network and making it simple for them to be able to sell more stuff to their clients. Because as one of the points Chris made, everybody just wants to go online and buy something and get off. So if you've got that relationship and we're enabling our clients, our PSPs, with a storefront solution, with many of the integrations that we've got, to be able to offer everything in one place, hopefully they'll be able to sell more. So yes, it is. We have some clients that we talk to, that we present to one day, and they go, "This is the best thing that we've ever seen. Let's get on board." And others take, as Kirk and I know, 3, 6, 9 months, and they're still sitting on their hands and wondering why their businesses aren't developing as they should.
But that said, I think that the entrance cost to get on board with this one is not that is not the deal breaker, right?
No, not at all. There's a number of flavors of Siteflow. So you've got Siteflow Lite, which is the entry-level version. It doesn't have the full end-to-end workflow production tools. It's just an entry-level version for a brand to send an order to a PSP, and they manually download the file and push it into their own production workflow environment, or however they do it. And then you've got Gateway, which is part of the Siteflow Lite family. which plugs in, I mentioned this earlier, often PSPs have got their own workflow tools that they're happy and content and do the job perfectly well. But often they go, oh, I wish we'd seen you 2 years ago, because we wouldn't have built it ourselves. We would have taken Siteflow. But now there's this solution that integrates into their own production environment so they can receive work from brands. But yeah, you're right, there are entry-level versions. We want to grow the network. We want thousands of PSPs. We want to flag in every country of the world. In fact, we want to flag in every state in the US and around the world. We want not just 500, 600 brands using the platform. We want thousands of brands using the platform and thousands of PSPs, and enabling all of those PSPs to be able to collaborate and connect and build and benefit from this network that we're building.
Yeah, I'm sold. If I was a PSP, I would definitely at least start to have the conversation. Salespeople. No, I'm just saying. I think that the interesting thing about watching demos, and also when we spoke to the success of John, Simon, and Ulrich, it's obviously, and I think that is always one of the. I know that we spoke about it, Tim, as well. Is that I think that when you look at the media and the printing industry, and also maybe to some extent a problem for the PSPs, how do we get our messages across, right? Because I think that having a session like this, obviously, it will be replayed a lot because there's a lot of valuable content in it. But how do we get that message across? Because everybody is, oh, the printing industry is just decreasing. It doesn't go so well. And then we talk to the people who dares to invest and who dares to take it to the next step, and they just thrive. Either they take away business from the people that are not open-minded towards new things, or don't know it because they don't follow the opportunities in the market. So
the cream the cream will always
Sure.
rise to the top, and we want to give more PSPs the chance to be that cream at the top. With Siteflow.
Yeah.
And of course, Brand Center as that tool for the brand. When we say Brand Center, we refer to brands, but a brand could be a PSP. And we have many PSPs, Ulrich, John, Simon, they're all using Brand Center as well. And many of our PSPs have Brand Center. Brand Center is free of charge. It just gives you exposure to all of that. It's that single dashboard, as Kirk demonstrated. It's that single dashboard which gives you access to all of that PSP network. So PSPs can take Brand Center regardless if they've got Siteflow or not. And as I mentioned on the last session, many of those brands are printers, are print management companies, are print aggregators, are businesses that have got lots of content, but they're not monetizing it because they've never thought of selling printed products before.
And to Chris's point earlier, a lot of customers are just taking their first steps into receiving orders on an automated way or via an API, or trying to connect to a brand that's asking, hey, give me your APIs. Give us a call. I mean, most of what that ask is of no charge, right? We're helping you get on this platform. We're helping you make that connection, and a connection that lasts, that becomes very sticky to that brand, right? I mean, if you have that integration and you have that done, I mean, they're not moving, right? I mean, that's a really powerful tool that you have to be able to receive automated orders. And like I said, the barrier to cost, we've solved that one as well. And the platform and the tools we have scale as you do. So really the reason to continue to build, or the reason not to at least have a quick look at this thing, is becoming less and less, I think. At least it's, worth a conversation of what you're doing.
There was a point that Chris made earlier. So one of the brands that I'm working with we've gone to them and they want to expand their offering of selling simple operational prints to one of their clients in 48 countries around the world. And many of those countries, we don't have a flag in the ground. We don't have a flag in the map. So we're going to our network of PSPs that we know because we're HP and say, we have a brand here that's got content that wants to route work into your country. Are you interested, Mr. PSP, of joining the network and receiving work?
No way. No way.
Listen, it's all day, every day we do this. It's great, and it starts a great conversation with a customer about not only their current business, right? But also where they want to go, what the struggles they have, and how we might have some tools to be able to help them on that journey, right? And it's a powerful thing.
There's many instances where we start that conversation with being a Siteflow light, and it's a very low cost for them to enter into the network. Then we start diving a bit deeper, and we understand their business more. They understand what Siteflow can do. So very quickly we accelerate them to becoming a Siteflow Pro customer, which is a great story. And the next session we do, we'll get some of those on board to do an equally as good job that John, Ali, and Simon did.
Kirk as well. Don't forget him. He's a great guy. So,
thank you. Appreciate that.
So, guys, time is out, and I want to appreciate the presentation from you, Kirk. It was great to meet you. Tim, I'm blushing every time you talk to me because you appreciate the platform and the work we do so much, but I also appreciate your work and your support. It's extremely important, not only for us, but I think for the industry to get knowledge spread to, because these kind of things that you're working with is for sure the part of the future of the printing industry. So people needs to get into this, and as usual, you're doing a great job in presenting things. So I will just fire our video, HP video, as a closing thing here. So thank you very much, gentlemen. It was a pleasure to see you, and I hope to meet both of you in person at some point. That could be fun and great. So thank you. And by the way, are you in Toronto?
I am in Toronto, yes.
I am going to Toronto very soon, so I will give you a call.
Please do, absolutely. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and look forward to talking with you soon.
You have a bye-bye.
Bye-bye.